I want to move on to Elizabeth Warren, who I'm no fan of, Tina. But all of a sudden, when it really doesn't count, she's going in on Nancy Pelosi. Where was this when she ran for president?
I was really surprised by that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is from Mediaite. I'll read it here. Elizabeth Warren swipes at Nancy Pelosi in New York Times essay on how Dems can avoid a midterm disaster. Warren published an essay in the New York Times on Monday in which she argued Democrats must return to being the, quote, party of working people if they are to stave off disaster in the upcoming midterm elections this November. Quote, to put it bluntly, if we fail to use the months remaining before the elections to deliver on more of our agenda, Democrats are headed towards big losses in the midterms, she wrote, noting that Democrats do best when they, quote, show we understand the painful economic realities facing American families. The Massachusetts senator and 2020 candidate went on to explain that polls note that the voting public has, quote, identified corrupt government officials as a top concern. Quote, they're right. To tackle the urgent challenges we face, climate change, income inequality, systemic injustice, we must root out corruption. Then she moves on. She went on to call out one of the leaders of her party as being part of the problem. Quote, whether you're a Republican senator or the Democratic Speaker of the House, it is obvious to the American people that they should not be allowed to trade individual stocks and then vote on laws that affect those companies. Quote, I have the strongest plan and the only bipartisan bill in the Senate to get it done. Oh, here we go with I have a plan. House Speaker Pelosi, who is also one of the wealthiest members of Congress, flip-flopped on banning members of Congress from trading stocks in January after receiving criticism for opposing the policy. Warren equating Pelosi with a Republican senator, presumably referring to former Senator David Perdue, who was accused of trading on insider information, is a notable jab between leading Democrats. So we could psychoanalyze Warren and why she's doing this, but she's also a hypocrite. She ran her campaign, no super PACs, no this, no that. Then at the last minute, when she should have dropped out and endorsed Bernie, she got a flood of money, and she had a super PAC that she did not denounce. So it's not the same thing as trading stocks, but she's flexible on her corruption standards.
I agree.
But I think it's a good thing. I mean, credit where it's due that she's calling out Pelosi now, because most people in the Democratic Party, the normie establishment Democrats, which I think Elizabeth Warren is an establishment Democrat at this point, they never call out Pelosi for the same reason that you don't turn on the Clintons, retribution.
She's powerful. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Warren calling out Pelosi on this?
I agree with you. I have not been a fan of Warren in the past. I do think that she has done some good things, but there's a lot of hypocrisy there with her. I think Nancy Pelosi needs to be called out a lot more than she already is. She comes from a district so people understand some of the mechanics surrounding this. Nancy Pelosi comes from a district that's very wealthy. So she does represent a majority of the constituency in her district. I think the average salary in her district is like $150K a year, just to give you an idea. So it's a tough nut to crack. But I think it matters because she's also de facto, party boss, right? People look to Nancy for what she says and does because she has so much power inside the party. And part of that power does go back to her ability to fundraise for the party, not just for herself when she's running for office, but also for the party. But she has definitely been pro-billionaire for most of her career, whether it has to do with, insider trading of stocks or, just protecting corporations, fighting against, we had a bill in the state that was heavily spent money from the pharmaceutical industry about lowering drug prices. Bernie Sanders came out and was campaigning for this to try to get it done. And it was a really important bill. Of course, Nancy was against it. So she's always been on that pro-corporate side. So there needs to be more calling out of Nancy Pelosi across the board, and people need to be not afraid of it, because we're going to see another primary challenge to her again and again, where it's going to be much more difficult for the primary challenger to win, right? And we need to get her out of that seat if she's going to get out of the power position that she's in. And it's just a tough nut to crack because the district is so wealthy.
And also, I mean, I'm not from San Francisco, but the media never covers, whether it's Shahid Buttar
Right.
or other challengers. They just cover Nancy Pelosi like she's a queen.
That's right.
And so if higher profile national, whether it's Democrats, I don't care who it is, start going after her, then the media in San Francisco has to cover it.
Right.
You can't really ignore it if it's national politicians basically pointing out her corruption. By the way, as recently as Amazon winning the union election, the workers who just won that historic victory, Pelosi was crickets. As I pointed out, I wonder if it's the millions of dollars she has invested in Amazon. Gee, not to mention her husband is benefiting off of the inside information she has
That's right.
in his real estate dealings. So I think it's a good thing. Warren, to me, I'll never forgive Warren. I think, snake emojis or not, she had the opportunity. She should have dropped out. She should have dropped out after New Hampshire.
Yeah, I agree.
That would have juiced up Bernie Sanders' already landslide victory in Nevada. Probably would have helped lower it slightly in South Carolina, so it wasn't a 30-point landslide for Biden. It definitely would have helped on Super Tuesday, because remember, Super Tuesday, where Biden won a lot of states that he didn't even campaign on, a lot of those were early votes. And a lot of that early voting in Washington State and other states,
that's right.
They had voted for Warren even after she lost New Hampshire and I think she came in an embarrassing 4th place.
Yeah.
In New Hampshire, which is right next to her state of Massachusetts. But there was a lot of early voting for Warren that could have went to Bernie Sanders if she would have dropped out. And were some states where Biden didn't beat Bernie by that much, and it could have made the difference. So I'm not.
Half of California's voting is done by mail-in ballot now. So yeah, you're 100% right in your analysis on this.
Right. And by the way, she's dead to me for this bullshit. Oh, Bernie said a woman can't win president, and this he said, she said.
That was so disingenuous. Yeah, that
she literally leaked to the media like right before the debate. Gee, I wonder why. So Elizabeth Warren, no consistent or good actor. She's not out there. Honestly, she's not out there with the workers either.
100% she's not. And I'm also still deeply, deeply troubled by the way she handled her school, where she checked off that she was Native American to get a preferential treatment to get into college. That is just like, my God, are you serious? Like I've never been able to get past that, quite frankly. I think it's a horrifying thing to do. I mean, you're clearly a white woman. Come on now. Those spaces are supposed to be for indigenous folks.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.